to ignore this very important fact. The 30th of June was as strong as the strongest plebiscite I ever remember in history.
Yes, now, sir, you mentioned many valid points in your conversation when you said that the two revolutions were very interconnected. That's a fact, but there is also another fact, that is the goals of the two revolutions were different. Speaking on the foreign media and how nobody in the world, of course, would accept suicide bombers and explosive landings all over the place. But, I mean, from your field of expertise, and if we're going to talk about your evaluation, your opinion towards certain channels, I'm particularly talking about the way the Al Jazeera is covering the events in Egypt. And the second wave of the revolution had polarized the Egyptian people, and there's a lot of hatred between the opponents and the supporters of the Brotherhood regime. Now, in media and academically speaking, there is something in research media called the cultivation theory. If certain channels such as Al Jazeera continues with its lies and fabrications in a country that is already polarized, how do you see that affecting the society on the long run?
Well, according to my feeling, I don't know the minds of other people, but my feeling, I live in this country since, next Monday I will complete 58 years in Egypt, so quite a time. According to my experience and my feeling for the people, I would say that the popularity of the channel you just mentioned has tremendously dropped. Decades ago, years ago, I myself was fascinated how professional Jazeera TV was produced, and really they had interesting and well-trained staffers. I think of the Gulf Wars, Jazeera TV was quite up to date. But as a matter of fact, I cannot help but saying that in spite of all this professionalism, it is quite evident that Jazeera TV as it should be pronounced, because they write in English with J, so Jazeera TV, has parted from that neutral, correct, professional reporting on the situation. So they themselves became a political factor, and well, I remember very recently, quite recently, they spoke of 25 million Egyptians taken to the streets, Shar al-Haram.
And Hilwan, which does not even carry
I had seen that demonstration. There were definitely not more than 3,000 to 4,000 people. So I mean, but this continues since quite a time, and they are supporting one fraction, we know that. Well, what more do I want to say? I cannot imagine that anybody who follows these things will ignore this. So my answer is clear.
Mr. Windfort, for years the U.S. administration have been chanting slogans of the rights of minorities, the women's rights to achieve liberation, and child trafficking, and other rights, you know, the U.S. human rights organizations and all that stuff. And now they are supporting blindly a regime until this very moment. They are often on that is using women and children as human shields, and they are burning more than 45 churches and ransacking and torching them and looting them.
I must correct you. 110 churches
110
have been affected. 47 have been burnt down.
Right.
Not just put on fire, burnt down. And I think thousands of Christians themselves have been physically molested. Some have been killed, tortured, abducted.
And what happened recently in Delga also.
Yeah, what do I say?
The same thing also goes with the...
That was not one church, it was several churches in Delga. And it went on for a long time. And I dare say that the security forces were informed and did not enter for more than 2 months. The perpetrators of such crimes, if you decapitate a person just because he's Christian and draw him
They
through
also
the
decapitate
streets.
state officials also, the state
Yeah,
security.
I know, but I mean, it was a haircutter, Christian haircutter, and to exterminate him again and show him when his head being cut off and smile and invite TV cameras to make their triumphant pictures. I mean, nobody in the world can accept that and can minimalize it. This is a pass pro toto for those who do not care for any norms. This has nothing to do with political opposition, be sure. And I'm very sure that many of those who were in the beginning supporting the religious extremists are appalled by themselves, because this must be very clear. In no country in the world such things could ever be what I understand. I do not need to accept.
Yes.
There's a big difference. And be sure, with this they are hurting themselves and their own propaganda, because this is not propaganda. This is this most terrible behavior you can ever expect.
Absolutely.
Mr. Volkhard,
No question about it, I mean.
Unfortunately, Mr. Volkhard Windfort, Chairman of Cairo Foreign Press, would like to thank you very much.
Thank you very much for joining us at the Breakfast Show.
And right now it's Al-Azhar Park. Going to be in a quick report, and we'll come back to you with our second segment, so stay with us.